Last week on Talk SA, we took a look at the history of June 16, 1976 and why we celebrate Youth Day today. We spoke to the current youth of South Africa about their modern day struggles that they face today.
Sorry about things. What's up, Tres Bonte?
Thank you to Shoki Kumani for your post on our Facebook page, and remember Mzansi, your comment helps South Africa to keep talking.
Ganwam, I think shine a flavor out.
The usual, my brand.
It's all about investing your money today on Talk SA. We'll find out how you get it, how you grow it, and how you keep it.
Dumelang ko hae, rali amohela mo Talk SA. Libitso la ka ke Aya, kajeno re tlo be le bua ka investing in Africa.
I think there is investments, but there isn't enough direct investments. We're not seeing factories coming up. And investing on a stock exchange, that's of no help to us. That's definitely, that type of money or profits that have been generated is purely for speculators. The man in the street is not benefiting.
At least
there's definitely potential in any business. Even the man in the street, there's a potential for him to grow his business as well. The problem is infrastructure, investment. The idea is to look at this, the informal sector, and how do you help them grow business.
Igama lami nguSipho Ndlovu. Ngizalwa eSoweto, ekhaya kusePimville ezone 5, duze naseRoma. Abaningi bangazi ngomsikana, kodwa okwamanje ngithanda lelami eliphelele likaSipho. Ukukhula kwami, ngikhule nami nginezifiso njengayo yonke ingane zokuba udokotela kumbe ukuba iphoyisa. Kepha manje ngithe mangikhula ngazithola ngiba nothando lo business. Ngakhula ngaba usomabhizinisi. Plan lam for today ukuthi ke manje ngiyasuka ngothela ipetrol bese ngiyahamba ngiqala e-taxi rank la ngiyodayisa khona. From there ke ngokuhamba kwesikhathi ngizolo ngichecka ama customer wami because kumele ngihloniphe nabo imisebenzi yabo. So singaqala ke ngokuthi sizothela ipetrol bese ke manje siye erenkini la ngine clientele eningi khona.
Okay, asam.
Yeah. So, you see, my customers even come to my place.
And it's already so early in the morning.
Oh, yes.
I tell we are baba.
Siswami ngine product in demand. Athi ngizumfowethu ukuthi ufunani namhlanje ngiseve idingo zakhe. Angani wami, athi ngishaye ngeflavor yakho. Ufuna yona ngithi.
The usual, my brand.
Hola. Hayi, into zakho ziphelele mfowethu. Nasi staff sakho. Ayisha ungasala. Ne. Sisonke awuthami. Hola. Kawufeli. Ayoba. Sibane grade.
So tell me, Sipho, what made you decide to sell cosmetics? What is it about cosmetics that you decided, no, business lami ngifuna libe ngama cosmetics?
Into enze ukuthi ngicabange ukuthengisa ama cosmetics ukuthi number 1 ngifuna into engekho harmful to umphakathi compared to ukuthengisa maybe cigarettes for example. So ngithande into enhle, into engazi ukuthi umphakathi uyayithanda, uyayiappreciate, and nami ingane zami to say ubaba is selling cosmetics. It's not a bad thing to sell. At the end of the day, it's a good product. Yes.
And how did you establish clientele yakho ngoba uyakhuluma ngama clients wakho? How did you establish their relationship now?
Iclientele yami ngathi okokuqala kuqala ekhaya, you know, you tell your parents, your siblings, your ambitions, and the minute you have a product you show it to them and they will tell other people ukuthi guess what, Usipho is now selling perfumes, you know, and a wide range of cosmetics. And then when you reach out to the people, nawe futhi uyawasebenzisa, you know, bawezwa kuwe kuqala.
Later on, we continue the journey with Sipho and Aya while they polish their salesman skills in the streets of Klipspruit.
Trade is a big
Right after the
word.
break on Talk SA, we are at a business conference in Sandton, where investors from all over the world came together to share ideas on how to take Africa's investment to another level.
Big capital industry.
We hear the word investment all the time. Our president talks about it. Various leaders talk about it. But why is it so important? Why should we care about it? How do we get involved? Is it only for rich South Africans, or can anybody contribute? I don't know about you, but I would love to own shares in a company one day. But I wouldn't know where to start. I wouldn't know what to look for, what makes a good or a bad investment. Well, we're going to be attending the Africa Invest conference at the Radisson Blue, and that's where we're going to learn more about investment.
Look at the United States of America. There are 52 countries. Africa is 59 countries. Why can't we have a United States of Africa? You know, and imagine the size of the market that we can. I mean, look at, for example, MTN in Nigeria. Look at the kind of success that they have had. You know, we need more African countries, African companies investing in other parts of Africa.
When I was doing my research, we understood that Africa is one of the continents which is emerging very strongly, and probably it's one of the last continents to have a growth rate which is equivalent to what China had probably 10 years or 20 years ago. And so as more and more regions and more countries are venturing into Africa and are looking at investing in Africa, there's a heavy inflow of capital in the country.
Trade is a big word. It carries or continues in various facets of the trading businesses. And if I have to look at it from a layman's terms, it will be right down to the granulars of trading in vegetables, right down to trading in the oil space, for example. And I think when you talk about the South African or the African context, is that we are graciously grateful to have a very fertile land. So start with where it begins, crop.
And tell me, how does someone like me meet somebody like you?
Well, I'm not that difficult to meet, but I think the key thing is preparation. We are funding agricultural ventures within Africa, and we get proposals, several a day. Mm-hmm. And the key thing is preparation, and to a certain extent knowing what I'm looking for, knowing that I'm looking for some good projections on what the venture can bring, knowing that I'm looking for a good team of individuals who are involved, who are committed to it, and are themselves committed to it. Because the first screen is very important. It's almost like sending a resume to an employer. If you make that cut, then I'd be willing to sit down with individuals and talk about funding their project.
The first advice would be to get close to your financial institution, to your bank essentially, and try to learn as much as possible from them. Because the banks also exist not only to get your money, but also to advise you on how to reinvest your money. And they'll have the resources to help you do a business plan and expand your business and invest in a different way than what you're used to.
You can't expect somebody who doesn't understand the taxi business, for instance, to buy a taxi and run it profitably. He'll probably need to speak to some of the taxi drivers as to what exactly to do to run his taxi profitably. It's the same way. You've got the cash, you need to make an investment. It's important you speak to someone who can tell you about the risks, know what sectors are growing, and can provide you with the expertise to make your money safe, to give you the kind of returns you want to get on your money.
It's Africa's time, and I believe that Africa has been a sleeping giant, and it is no longer asleep. It is ready to do business, and I believe that Africans, especially you and I, need to start breaking those barriers. We need to start trading effectively with one another. We need to open up our border.
Here are some helpful tips to remember. Always set yourself financial goals. Speak to experts about your business. And do your research properly.
How do you know if something is worth the investment and the risk?
And we basically assist companies from Africa in doing business with China in various levels, whether it be in procurement, in sourcing investment, or whatever.
Well, now that we've met Sipho and we've seen what his business is all about, let's go meet an investment consultant who's going to help us give him advice on how to take his business further. So welcome to the show. Dirk, please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Well, our company is called the Beijing Axis, and we basically assist companies from Africa in doing business with China in various levels, whether it be in procurement, in sourcing investment, or whatever the case may be.
And what is the situation of investment in Africa right now?
Well, Africa is at the moment going through a bit of a boom, really. It's quite unprecedented. It's doing very, very well. It's one of the world's most favored investment destinations because of a range of reasons. For example, the continent is more stable than it's been for a long time. It seems to be maturing politically.
If an investor is looking for an investment, what are they looking for?
Well, for Chinese investors, it's becoming more and more important what their returns are. Previous years, it was very often of a more political nature. It was parastatals who would come and invest in Africa, and nowadays you have more private enterprises coming in. And for that reason, the criteria by which they invest is more familiar to us. So yes, returns are very important. Short-term, long-term, Chinese investors are not as long-term minded as they are very often portrayed.
And tell me, what should people who are looking for investors look out for? What do they have to do in order to secure that investment?
Growth. The opportunity for growth is really the big story here. And for a person like Sipho, who has a business that works with cosmetics, I think it's important to occupy an ever larger part of the supply chain. So one way to do it is to go to a wholesaler over here and buy from there. But eventually what you want to do is you want to buy wholesale yourself from the supplier in China or in India or wherever. And to be able to do that obviously takes some investment of effort. You've got to pay some school fees, you'll make some mistakes, you'll learn some lessons. And hopefully a person like myself or many other people around Joburg or around the country who have dealt with Asia and China in particular would be able to assist small business owners.
And Sipo, when you are looking for an investor like you are now, what are you hoping to get out of it? And do you have any expectations? What are they?
What I would love to achieve in the long run is to actually own a supply store of cosmetics, whereby I would also own a franchise kind of like business. From where I come from, we don't have much channels to go to and voice out our views. Meaning, yes, there are institutions, which offer a lot of promises, but when you get to them, you find that they need things that you don't have as a small-time business person, like a surety, for instance.
What do you sell? Can you talk us through this range of products you have on the table over here?
What I have here is a range of Milton Lloyd products. These are cosmetics made in England. So today what I have are my deodorants, which I'm selling for only 15 rands. I've got different types, for different folks. And then again, here I've got my perfumes, which I'm selling them for 120 rands. Yes. Then I've got ladies and gents as well.
So you're going to have trouble attracting investment as long as it is so easy to compete with this business. So now how do you create that advantage? You have to create some barrier to entry to the other competitors. And I think you have to think outside the box. Where can you go? What can you do that other people can't do or haven't yet done? I would say what would be very useful for a start is to start gathering information about where your product is made. It says over here made in England. Is it really made in England, or is it actually made in India, sent to England and then exported over here? Could you go directly to the supplier that manufactures and source from him directly? Are there other wholesalers abroad perhaps that could sell it to you at a lower price? And once you do that work and you develop that knowledge about the industry, then suddenly you'll find that your advantage over your competitors become long-term and sustainable.
Would you help me out in this regard? I want to know, how do I get an investor into my business? Because currently I'm working alone and I'm trying to get myself to the next level, because I want to see myself owning a cosmetic shop or supplying other stores with a wide range of cosmetics.
Well, to find investment is very, very difficult, even for large companies with established premises and employees and product lines and so on and so forth. So I think what you should first concentrate on really is how you're going to grow the business, how you're going to break out. Once you have that ability to print money, once you can employ people and make money for them as well, and once you have the ability to grow your business, then suddenly you create value and then you start attracting investors. At the moment, you are still in a very informal mode. You sell these cosmetics out of your car or at taxi ranks and so forth. And I think for now, the real challenge is, how do you grow the business beyond one person? So how do you make enough money so someone else can also work for you and make enough money for themselves? I would say your solution for now would be to do two things really. One is to buy your profit, not to sell it. See how you can drive down your costs, how you can buy your products for less. And the second is, how do you leverage the knowledge you've built up over the past 2 years? You now know what people want, which gender, which areas of the city, which age groups, and that knowledge is very, very valuable.
There's a lot of apprehension when it comes to China's investment and involvement in Africa. A lot of people are very nervous. What do you think about it? Do you think it's a good thing or is it a bad thing?
It could end bad or good. I think however it ends up depends on how people in Africa manage that relationship. I think we should stop talking in terms of whether it's good or whether it's bad. If we just allow the investment to come in without adding any conditions to it, it'll end in disaster. And if we say no to all investment, it'll also end in disaster. Chinese investment is here to stay. We should rather look at how we're going to engage it and how we're going to become part of that process and how we're going to shape it from the African perspective. previous years it may have been the case, but most certainly nowadays China produces very, very high quality goods, while at the same time also producing everything in a range going all the way to very bad. So I think one shouldn't once again look at China being either good or being bad. You should look at the company, at the product, at the people selling it to you, and stop talking about China and start talking about the actual brands and businesses coming out of China. Just as we don't talk about America or about Europe, we talk about Nike, we talk about Revlon, we talk about McDonald's. And I think we should start approaching China in very much the same way.
Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for talking to us. We hope that the people at home have a little more information, and we definitely hope that your relationship will continue and that we'll be having some good feedback soon. Okay, so where do I start?
So we're gonna start here where people are at, you know, because selling at other premises, there's lots of restrictions.
Mama, cela ukudayisela le perfume. Yazi imnandi kanjani? Awuyizwa. Kamnandi. Yazi ukuthi sine discount namhlanje u120. Awuyihaleli nje.
Ngiyihalela nithi nje imali angiyiphatha ngiyo imali engingayiphathanga shem.
Cela ukundayisela iperfume anizweni ukuthi imnandi kanjani. Anizweni. Anamali. Hawuyazi ukuthi mhlambe ningeza ntambama. Nizochecka ubhuti Sipho angandayisela. Yazi discount engakanani sinezela yona u120. Well, it looks like the rand is a little low, but we'll keep trying and see what happens. Whew. But the selling is hard work. It's a skill, hey? Sure. I'm going to end up finishing his stock.
Yeah, back.
So, by introducing Sipho to Dirk, they exchanged numbers and had a great conversation. And now it's up to you, Sipho, to make sure that your dreams are met and that you're able to grow your business. And we hope that you've learned something today. And the bottom line is the future is bright for us South Africans, right?
Very true, very true, Aya. Watch me in the next space.
Your nation builders for the week this week are the annual Business Investors Conference, Dirk Coetzee, and aspiring entrepreneur Sipho Ndlovu.
Okay.
Next week on Talk SA, we focus on unique jobs in South Africa, from stock fells to making art using kitchen utensils.
How about ikopanya li teng ho Facebook, li Twitter, and don't forget, keep talking. Haribueng laat ons praat SA.
On the 26th of June in 1950, the ANC, along with its allies in the South African Indian Congress and the African People's Organization, observed the very first South African Freedom Day. This Freedom Day was organized in protest to killings that were done by the then government.